What's going on, everyone? It's David Palmer, Leo King, and Rich Lopp here for the Awakening Experience here in October of 2023. Of course, today we're going to be talking about the Magician. What's up, bro? How you
What's
doing?
up, man? Good. This is my favorite card. I've been waiting for us to get to this. You know,
We made it.
it's the manifestation card. It's the way I look at it. It seems like I don't know. I've heard so many people give like mixed reviews about this card. Some people think it's a bad thing. I don't understand why. I mean, if you look at the card, obviously the dude has all four elements on the table in front of him. And in the upright, the way I read it is he is utilizing all four elements to create whatever it is that he wants to create. But in the upright, the thing that I don't think a lot of people understand is that divine energy is just simply divine energy. It doesn't matter who uses it, but it's no different than like a gun. It's not the gun that hurts somebody, it's the person that uses it. Same thing with divine energy. In the upright, he knows how to use divine energy for the greater good, you know, and for the greater good of those around him. Now, in the reverse, there's lots of different ways to read it, but I look at this as black magic, when people are using divine energy for selfish reasons.
Yeah.
You know? How do you look at it?
Well, first I was going to ask, who are those people that think this is a bad card? Like maybe Matt Walsh or something like that? You know, I'm sure Matt would have a problem with this card. The number one thing that I always see about this card is there's 5 elements. The ether that's above, that's what the Magician's holding, because there's the 4 elements here, but then that 5th one's that ether. That's why he's holding the white rod. And we're the conduit from here in the carbon-based Earth world, which carbon, if you didn't know, the scientific molecule, the number is 666, right?
Yeah.
So we live in this carbon-based body and this carbon-based life and this carbon-based reality, yet his hand that's up is the ether. And so it's about how do we use our spiritual energy to be that conduit that connects both and manifest in this life what we came here from the ether to do, and then then our carbon-based life, all carbon dissolves in order for us to get back to that divine energy. So it's like he knows that and he has full awareness of it before going on the journey fully, you know? It's like, that's why it's the first card. Technically, the Fool card's 0, but that's the weirdness of the tarot, having a 0 card. The Fool is that space in between spaces, right? This is when you're actually, I'm initiated into this reality, and I'm here to do this work that's based off the divine. I love how you already brought up the black magic aspect, which would be the, what's opposite than white is black, right?
Yeah.
Which would be reversed, that he's putting the ether below him down into the darkness to where the carbon really is.
Yeah.
Pretty gnarly.
Like people, whenever this card comes up, a lot of times, like especially in like a love reading, I always have to say it to my audience. If you dealt with somebody that you know it dabbles in metaphysics and esoterics, I guarantee you they've tried to throw some black magic at you. Meaning, and I always think about these people, the way I see them in my mind is like a little toddler throwing a fit. You know how some people, especially in the spiritual community, some very immature, unevolved souls, they don't get their way. So the first thing they want to do is look up a spell to try to hurt you. And they have no idea what they're setting themselves up for.
No, yeah, they don't.
That's going to come back and bite them in the ass. So, and it always, you can sit and watch it. I've sit and watched it happen. People get so mad because their ex is now dating somebody else. So they send a spell to try to fuck the relationship up. And I'm not saying that you can't seriously affect somebody's life by doing that, but that's going to come back and hit you 3 times harder than you could have even dreamed of affecting them. And people don't realize it. And you can sit back and watch it in real time. And these people who do this kind of thing usually have horrible lives. Horrible things are always happening to them because they're not monitoring their vibration.
Right.
When this comes up in advice, because I always give advice in my readings, I'll say, what's the advice? If the Magician card comes up, I'll say, monitor your vibration. Pay attention to your frequency. And so many people just don't do that. They're like a fish in water. You know, if you try to explain to a fish that it's in water, the fish would probably say, what the hell is water? They don't even know they're in water.
Right.
So a lot of people, when it comes to their own vibration and their own frequency, they're not even aware. They can be pissed off, angry, you know, and that's cool. We're all humans. But they don't realize that, well, right now, while I'm in this low vibrational state, I'm a magnet to other people, situations, and scenarios that resonate with this low vibrational state. So that's generally the way that I read the Magician card. Is it has to do with obviously manifestation, monitoring your frequency, consciously paying attention to your vibration, because you know how your energy affects things around you. You see what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying. Because if you are the conduit, and if you choose to plug yourself into a fucking shitty energy, that's what it's gonna be a boomerang effect. You know, what we put out, especially if I'm sitting in a shitter and I wanna try and throw more shit, I'm just gonna get shit back. It really is super simple. This card though, there's all 4 elements. But it's all about understanding how those all elements come to that ether, because that ether is our divine nature. It is the divinity, and it's where we came from. So it's about knowing as above, so below. That's another way to look at it with this card. That's why, of course, the people get obsessed with the infinity on this, but it's the sound wave. It's the understanding of how Earth works with the seasons, with the way that the infinite cycles work, and how all those work in all the different elements. But also on what's the constant infinite loop of the divine and the ether coming back with our energy. And what do we do? It's like the universe is checking on us, like, are you in our vibration with us? Oh, you are? Boom. Mm-hmm. That's a connection. So you talk a lot, but it is always the frequency that we think with relationships with the people. Mm-hmm. That same relationship with the universe is constantly, the second you slip...
Yeah.
It changes. You're a magician of shit now. You know what I mean? Like you're a magician of fucking, I hate my life and everything's going bad. Well, yeah, you're a fucking badass magician. So everybody's a magician. That's the other, I think people sometimes take the ego to this card. Like, I'm a magician. It's just like, fucking everybody's, my fucking little baby 6-week-old fucking daughter's a magician at knowing how to get fucking the breast milk when she needs to. All she got to do is cry for it, because that's her only way to get the attention. Yeah. Or at least I already can tell when she starts moving her legs and starts getting all like, I'm like, okay, it's time for mommy. Yeah. Yeah. So she's a magician too, but we're all magicians.
That's the hardest thing to tell people. And one thing that I've noticed too, especially when I very first started teaching manifestation and whatnot, is that's one thing that people get so uptight about, is the fact that manifestation isn't something that you decide to start doing one day. It's something that you've been doing since before you were born. And the argument that people always throw is, what about little children who have these horrible things that happen to them? And I counter that by saying, okay, it works like this. Before you incarnate into this life, you have a whole big blueprint of everything that you want to experience. In order to experience that, what creates your life experiences is your vibration. So if you agree to come into this life and become a certain person, the only way you can become that person is if that person is created vibrationally. Yeah. So you have to come in here and agree to certain experiences. This one lady, this was years ago, but she said something like, you can tell the guy in this video has never been through any kind of trauma or abuse. And I said, excuse me, lady. I was taken away from my parents when I was 2. It was horrific. I don't need to go into details about that here. But it was horrific. Trust me, I agreed to that before I got here, because those experiences and all those things that I encountered as a young child put me on a very specific path that ended up leading me here. So when it comes to, you're still manifesting, like you said, even as a little baby, you're still manifesting. Yeah. But there's a lot more influences around you that you agree to come in and have that programming. You agree to come in and have that experience, and that puts you at a certain vibrational level. And then once you get to the point to where you take the wheel up here and you're taking conscious control and making conscious decisions, that's when you really start manifesting the majority of your life from that point forward. And the older you get and the more your brain develops, the more control you have over the manifestation of your life. But you've been doing it this whole time, and people get so mad because they want to be a victim. They don't want to even fathom the idea that they're responsible for something bad that happened to them.
Yeah, and it reminds me of the 4 elements. Like, they get caught up maybe on one, like, gosh, you had really bad emotional, supportive issues in life, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, that's the cups. That's the emotional line of the elements. Or, oh, man, you're just not a smart person, or that you didn't have smart people around you. Or, people get locked, I think, into not being able to see the whole spectrum of what's happening. And I love that you brought up that we choose our experiences, because I look at your situation like, well, then, of course, you're a father now, and you're shifting and realigning that frequency of that path intentionally, because how else are we going to change it here?
Yeah.
There's souls who come. The worst to me is the opposite. The person that comes here is given everything and doesn't use the magician card.
Yeah.
That to me is worse. I don't know why we're not focused on that. The conversation's always like, look at what happened, what I was given in my life. It's this comparative aspect, where the only thing it's not even comparing to is reflecting on the divine. Like, wait, why did I come down here again? What am I here to transmute this energy? What am I here to fucking go through? Am I looking at all the elements of all the situation here?
Yeah.
It's very simple to be that magician and confident. It's a very confident card. It's confident. It's like, I understand the divine plan and I can see the divine working its way in every moment. And that quick shift happens with the magician. The magician can get caught around maybe. I think if I held my arm like Lady Liberty all day, I'd be fucking tired too, and I'd probably put it down. And then, and then you get lost out of the ether for a second. It's always when you put your arm back up into that ether with that staff, right? That magician one, and you just like, fuck. Jeep. And so that's the problem. People are given, quote unquote, what they manifested or pre-manifested, predetermined, came into this life with. And the worst is to see them not do anything with it. Yeah. And I think that's actually what makes society worse than the opposite. I think we need to shift the perspective of like, there is no right or wrong way to come down here. It's what you take it, no matter how unique it is. That's the other part about this card is extremely unique about our own divine mission and our own divine way of expressing all those elements here.
Yeah. People get so, and I had a client come to me a few days ago saying that they had a close family member who was getting sucked into the whole institutionalism, like being put in mental hospitals and stuff, and getting to the point where they were becoming dependent on it and asking, will she ever break out of this victim cycle? And that's the thing. That's what's so hard about it, because this is also about developing a relationship with the universe. Yeah. Meaning, I know what vibrations I'm putting out there, and I know what vibrations to consciously put out there, because I know how the universe responds. That's one thing that people don't understand, because we've been so trained to speak the wrong things to the universe, to reverse manifest. This is what I gave my speech on in New Year's Eve. We've been so programmed to reverse manifest. And when I say that, what I mean is manifest the opposite of what you want. Because the easiest way to explain it is that the universe has one response to anything you tell it. Yes, that's true. Your wish is my command. People just don't know what they're telling it. Right. So people go around all day, every day saying, oh, I need more money. So the universe says, yes, that's true. You need more money. Your wish is my command. I'm lonely. I need somebody to love me. Yes, that's true. You're lonely. You need somebody to love you. Your wish is my command. So people don't understand that, and they get so caught up and wrapped up in being that victim, like something bad is happening to them. And what blows my fucking mind, this is the part that I can't even wrap my mind around. These people who have these horrible life experiences, and they seem to be stuck at rock bottom, spinning in circles, and you tell them, yo, there's a solution. You can get out of this. And they want to fight you. They get mad. They get pissed off, and they want to fight you. Dude, I can't wrap my mind around that. I'll never forget that day that I was sitting in that McDonald's playing on my Obama phone, and I clicked on my first law of attraction video. I was like, dude, you mean I can fix this? Right. I created this and I can uncreate it? Fucking sign me up. I was ecstatic. That was the best fucking news I had ever heard in my life. I didn't want to be no victim. No. I didn't want to stay living in homeless shelters and shit. But so many people out here, when you try to give them the key, as soon as they hear you created this, that's when they tune out and get pissed off at you. No, dude. It's a lifestyle. Even to this day. To this day. Let's say, for example, I'm driving to the grocery store and I blow a tire. My first thought is, how did I manifest that? What negative thought or whatever, what negative frequency was I casting that manifested this? And I may not get an answer right away, but if you meditate on that, anytime something bad happens to you, simply ask, how did I manifest this? The answer will come. And if you're still stuck in that, again, that victim trap where you want to blame the outside world for all of your problems, it can be really uncomfortable to accept that answer. Be like, oh yeah, I see. It was that thought that I kept thinking. I spent 3 hours this morning obsessing over how mad I was that my dad did a favor for my sister and left me with nothing. Whatever it was, you'll get the answer. And most people, it's so uncomfortable whenever that answer comes to them. But the more you start walking this path and living this lifestyle of owning and taking accountability for your shit, it kind of becomes addictive. Yeah. To me, I'm like, okay, how did I manifest that? Oh, okay, I got it. Now I know what it was. It was that fucking thought. I was thinking, I was so pissed off, and I spent like an hour repeating that negative, angry thought. That's how I manifested that. Oh, okay. And it's like a relief. It's like a weight lifts off your chest because now you can correct it and fix it.
Yeah, because on the table, it's just, well, in tarot at least, the 4 elements put into actual physical form: a sword, a cup, a pentacle, a wand. It's like, but that's all there is. It's not like there's no book on the table.
Yeah.
So it's that divine channeled and already predetermined that you've already set. It's your true understanding of your higher self with the divine. And how you are a magician when you're that way. It gets convoluted. We can learn a lot and grow, and that's not putting that down, because I think that makes us to where we get to hermit style or where we get to these other places. But I think we always come back to the magician, no matter what the situation is, and go, let me observe this from Spirit's point of view. Let me go up with Spirit and look down on what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
When we do that, it's so simple. So when you brought up how people get mad, it's because they think it's some super difficult thing, or they want to be in denial that, your way didn't work, and that's okay. This is still our way, but it's not just our way. It's our way in combination with Spirit and the divine. Yeah. So it's like people get so frustrated or they get mad and they get angry when it's like they don't want to look down that road because, one, it's embarrassing maybe, or two, it's they think it's too weird to have a relationship with Spirit and God. Like they don't really understand that it's really simple and everything can be removed. So whatever the problem is, as you said, whether that could turn into a major problem because we manifest it, or it doesn't become a problem, the solution's found, because it's like taking a second to go, am I looking at this from the right lens? Yeah. It reminds me of beer goggle. It didn't matter. But some people live their life in that filtered perspective, like beer goggles, about reality, about what's really happening to their life, what's really happening to themselves. And to me, being drunk is being drunk on your own self and disconnected from that conduit to the ether, right? Like that's the drunkest life you could live. Yeah. You're drunk driving through your life, hitting this, hitting that, because your mind, your emotions, your physical understanding of this reality, and more importantly, your passions are not lit up by that higher divine source. They're lit up by your own, well, usually they're tag teamed along by other people's ideas or thoughts or the program. And so what happens is you're a spiritual drunk driver through everything. You're not a magician. Yeah. You're just fucking running into everything going, why did I run into it? Yeah. It's like, take your fucking beer goggles off for a second. That's why you ended up with that fucking sea hag that at 2 a.m., right? You were at the bar by the pier and she came crawling out of the ocean with fucking seaweed. Yeah. Like, you ended up with her because you chose the beer goggles this life. And I'm using that example because I remember when I was young, we used to use that because I grew up here on the beach and we'd be at the bars and I'd laugh and I'd be like, well, what sea hag just crawled up into here at 2 a.m. trying to get somebody, you know? And that kind of reminds me of the dark, like, you know, of how it's like, look at all these people on earth who don't want to be connected to the divine. Mm-hmm. All right, bring out the fucking hags. You know what I mean? Like, and then, oh my God, you look amazing. Look, go tap that. And that's not a magician. A magician's not going to be in a place of non-awareness and a place where it's not, I guess you could say there's like it's weird because justice is in many ways very similar to this card, but like this is like your own accepting of understanding that before I enter into any situation, it's not a filter, but I am the magician that is only responding, creating my emotions, my physical, my passions, and my thoughts based around this understanding that has gone through not even a process, but an accepting, and it just is. I feel like the word filter would be belittling it, if that makes sense.
The word what?
Filter. Like filter through spirit. Like I feel like that's belittling it or giving it as if it's got a problem.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot, like to use the under the influence example, what most people are under the influence of is the filter of their own identity, like the ego. And like you were saying a minute ago, a lot of it, like a lot of these people's beliefs and opinions and whatnot aren't even their own. They're adapting other people's opinions, other people's beliefs, and they're adapting what they assume other people's opinions and beliefs are. That on top of generational trauma that they've vibrationally picked up throughout the generations from their family and building their identity around it.
Right.
That's the worst thing. Dr. Joe Dispenza, I use his quotes a lot in my teachings where one of the worst habits that we have as humans is building our identity around trauma. And this is one thing that gets in the way of the energy transmutation process too, is if you say, I am this way because this thing happened to me 10 years ago. And ever since the thing happened 10 years ago, I chose to repeat the same long, drawn-out emotional response. So once I repeated that emotional response over and over and over, what it did was it burned itself into my subconscious mind. It wrote itself into my neural circuitry. Now it runs all by itself on autopilot, just like a computer program.
Right.
So I am this way. So what you have to do if you want to start developing that relationship with the universe, start monitoring your vibration, taking accountability for your shit.
Yep.
You have to let go of that identity. And that scares the shit out of people. Like, and another thing Dr. Joe Dispenza says, everybody wants to create a new personal reality as the same personality, and it doesn't work. You literally have to become someone else. And I heard that right when I had just moved to a little tiny town. And I'd moved to a new town. Nobody knew who I was. They didn't know anything about me. So I said, I'm going to become someone else. So I stepped into the shoes of the person that I wanted to become. And it was extremely weird and uncomfortable, but nobody knew the difference. And I never broke character until that new personality that I was putting on burned itself into my brain, and that became who I am today. People don't want to do that because you have to let go of your own identity. So I know I trailed off in a bunch of different directions, but when you say the drunkenness and the filter, that's what they're under the influence of, is their old identity. They don't want to let it go.
Yeah, John Dee puts it in his work, which he's done a lot of work from the 1500s, but it's like being in the tree of rareness, meaning rarity, meaning that the rarer you are, the more unique you are. That's the true essence of your embodiment of your soul. So when I think of what you just said and how it is, it's like to get out of this program, it's not about looking outside and comparing and contrasting or even copying. It's about fully embedding what is the divine showing you that you are. That's it, right? So we live in a society today where people call this stuff pseudoscience, whether it's astrology or tarot or any of this divine work, yet it's what based science today. It's what based the world today. Yet then it's all been, they've tried to do the reversal, which is the black magic, which is transmuting the divine energy into that it doesn't have divine in it.
Yeah.
So if you think of science today, that's taking alchemy and that's black magicking it as if it doesn't have a magical power to it, that it's baseless, it's empty, or the same way that they take the divine and God as if it's a random set of atoms that are just all smashing them in together, and there's a bunch of dark matter in between, and there's a bunch of electromagnetic energy that we don't really understand fully. Everything is electromagnetic, and that's the other thing is if you think of this, he looks like he is a storm chaser in many ways. Like, yeah, fucking like Benjamin Franklin with his key on the fucking kite.
Yeah.
Right? Then he was holding it in the way that he understood electricity. The way that we do that is the same way with spirit. Like I always think of a kite. Am I putting my divine key to that's got the door that's always open from the divine, and am I receiving that energy back? And then am I becoming that energy, or am I doing it based off what I'm seeing on the outside world or what the fucking internet's telling me to be, especially television or whatever, and then I'm trying to reflect that, and I'm trying to copy the imaging, and I'm trying to copy the likeness, and then you're not even rare.
Yeah.
And once you lose your rarity, the hard part about this is the magician knows how to get out of the loop just as much as be in the loop. Right? So it's not just the loop of infinity and the synchronicities, is there's also toxic loops, but there's also the loop of like, do I want to keep coming back here? Am I ready to move on? The magician understands what pattern to be on to get out, because there's a pattern in life, numbers or anything, to get to the back out, to beyond, to the eternity. And then there's ones that we have to stay in here, and it's about understanding the cycles. That's the best thing that he understands is, even in the tarot cards, there's cycles, right? It's like, as a tarot deck reader, if you're doing a reading on somebody, you'll see the cycle happen really fast in somebody. It's like, up, no, or yep.
Yeah.
And then there's always that confirmation. There's always, same thing in astrology. It's like, up, it progressed moon on, yeah, oh, squaring that. Oh, Pluto's coming up, yep, Neptune squaring that. Oh, shit. Sorry, I don't know what to tell you. That's the other part about this magician card is, the magician is not connected to the emotion, the physical nature, the mindset, or even if, the worst thing you can be in life is be so lost in your passion that's not with the true magician within you of your life. So it's like you have to kind of disconnect from all these places and be like, is this really what the filter's saying? As an astrologer, a tarot reader, anybody who does this divine work, you get your own shit out of it, you get their own shit out of it, and then you look in a spiritually objective way at things to make sure, like, look how many fucking patterns are right here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be honest for a sec. That's what this is. And separate all the layers of our emotional subconscious and our desires and our wants and our neediness and all the things that we want it to look like.
Yeah.
Because a magician is not about abracadabra and there it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's much opposite than that. It's much more being in alignment, understanding, being objective, and understanding if this is always coming from that divine energy, and how that really the magician is watching the magic happen in their life by being connected in the correct way.
Yeah, yeah. And to get to that point where the magic is happening, you gotta move through this big dark cloud of fear, and that's what holds most people back.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know if I said this on a show or not, but the example that I use, I tell a lot of my clients this. There's a part of the manifestation path that I call the first hump. I don't know if I talked about this before, but and here's the picture that I paint. If you could imagine out like in the vast wilderness landscape somewhere, there's a mountain. It's so tall, it goes up above the clouds. And down at the foot of that mountain is a little village. Very primitive people, log cabins and shit. And there's
Geppetto is down there too.
Huh?
Geppetto.
Yeah. There's all these legends and myths about this amazing world that you're going to find if you climb that mountain. But you don't know anybody that's actually done it. You know people who claim to know somebody who knew somebody that's done it. And this person said that his great grandpa said that his friend did it, but it's a myth. Nobody really knows if there's anything up there. So you finally say, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to find out. And everybody's saying, what are you doing? You're crazy. Stop making fun of you and shit, calling you an idiot. And you climb it. And you climb it. And the whole time you're climbing, you're like, I could be wasting my fucking time. Maybe there's nothing up there. Maybe this is bullshit. Maybe it's not going to work. And you're climbing. Finally, you make it to the top of that first mountain. And you're like, dude, it's real. That's what I call the first hump. When you very first start taking conscious control of your energy and manifesting and getting in touch with the divine, I could be wasting my time. There's all these people, manifestation, that's just a bunch of mumbo jumbo, and I don't know. Maybe it is bullshit. I have no idea, but I'm going to stay on this path until I either get to the top of that mountain or I die on the side. And then you get over that first hump and you start seeing results in your life. Whatever it is that you're manifesting, whether it's money, the money starts flowing in, or whether it's a new relationship, you start connecting. Whatever it is that you're manifesting, you start seeing the results. Yeah. And you get over that first hump. That's when it becomes easier to trust the process. And you want to shout it from the rooftops, and nobody believes you. You can't, and my whole life is proof. Oh, you got lucky. And breaking through that cloud of fear, making it over that first hump, and the cloud of fear is, what if I am wrong? What if I fail? What's everybody going to think? Everybody's going to laugh at me and say, ha ha, I told you so. That black cloud of fear. And then the few people who give themselves permission to grow a pair of balls and walk through that black cloud of fear, and they see that it was nothing but a bullshit smokescreen, they make it through the other side and they start seeing the amazing miracles that can happen in their life. It doesn't make the process easier, because the top of one mountain is the bottom of the next, and all mountains are hard to climb, but it makes it easier to buy into the process. Yeah.
It reminds me of that show Naked and Afraid. I just watched a couple episodes last night. I'd seen it for I don't even know, 5-6 years. Let's just send two random people that don't know each other into the most craziest places, let them go naked, they have to survive for 21 days, and all they get is a flint, and they get to choose one item. And that's exactly what I was thinking of when you were saying that. Because it's like the funniest one, I watched an episode last night where this woman, she trained for years to be a survivalist. Tapped out.
Yeah.
Right? Tapped out. Whereas then you'll just see the person who's just getting through, because I think the hard part of the magician card is people can be in those hard places. And I'll use Naked and Afraid. It's day 15. You haven't ate for 6 days.
Yeah.
Okay, there's snails. That's about it. Right? And you guys have eaten all the snails that were around. But there's always some sort of situation into where it's there's the one partner who's got the positive mindset. I know we found water. Look at the shelter's good.
Yeah.
But then you get tired and then there's stuff. So it's why don't you, it's being spiritually objective instead of being so lost into it. The one woman who tapped out because it was just too cold with the wind flying through. It was 50-degree wind.
Oh shit.
She had a fire next to her, and then that was the weird part, because she was in a relationship and the guy wasn't even trying to screw her or anything. But that's where body heat comes in. That's just a simple, basic, fucking magical act of survival.
Yeah.
If you're too cold, it's body heat.
Yeah.
She wouldn't do that. So she just went through torture. So people torture themselves.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how much you train. So I think that too many people try to train to become a magician. It goes from the fool to the magician. You come in this reality, and that's kind of like the fucking Matrix loading program, where it's kind of okay, as you're falling back down here, and then fucking, if you choose this path with the magician, if you think of all these different elements and all the different parts of the tarot, it's all the cards on the rest of the deck that he understands, all the cards. He understands he's going to go through all these things. He understands how, from start to end, the whole deck and how it works. So wherever he's at in each part of the journey, doesn't matter where, the worst cards, 3 of Swords moment in life, he knows where to also bridge those gaps that make the 3 of Swords feel like it's just the one reality, when this reality is not a 4D reality that's just stuck in one time continuum eternally of 3 of swords.
Yeah.
And that's where I think people get the problem is they try to train to become a magician, and then they want to make their magician life one card they like the most, one astrology transit they like the most, one kind of visualization identity of like, it's only going to look that way only, and then I just want to never let it change. Mm-hmm. And that's the problem, because you don't train to become a magician like as if like you go to school to get a degree, you know?
Yeah.
Or like how many people tell me all the time, like, I want to be a DJ. My whole life. I want to be a DJ. I'm like, great, come by, spin some records with me. It's not like you just spin some records for 2 hours and then you're a DJ. It's fucking been every day of my life for most of my life, you know, like, and then going to shows. And I spent multiple years going to shows and watching DJs, just watching them. And I remember I got lucky to ask Mark Farina when I was like fucking 21. I was on a bunch of ecstasy, and I'm like, dude, how do I learn from you? He goes, just watch.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll let you come up all the time and watch. And I sat there for a year and I just watched Mark Farina do it, and I paid attention to all of it. Not just, the dancers that are on stage, the go-go dancers, or the bottle service, or the no. I pay attention to that too, but all of it at once. And how did he do it and really listen and really experience and really see? And it's like one of those things to where you don't mimic or copy it, but you
become it.
You learn how to become it, and then you learn to step into it, and then your first of everything is always going to have that fear. That's that illusion. At least you're fucking climbing. But that's, as long as you're connected to the right place, that divine, you're fine.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people want to, I'm sorry that the microwaves that are produced at Walmart and everywhere and in your home don't have microwavable magician that just pops out in 1 minute. It just doesn't happen like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost the same thing for reading the tarot, too.
Yeah.
People have been asking me for years to teach the tarot. I finally put a tarot reading course on my website, How to Read the Tarot. And the only thing that can really be taught is the meanings of the cards. But then it gets to a part where how to read it. It's not just, I pull out the Two of Pentacles, here's what the Two of Pentacles means. It's forming a relationship with the deck.
Yeah.
Trusting your intuition, trusting yourself. Like, how am I supposed to shuffle? There is no how you're supposed to shuffle. You start shuffling and do what feels right. I can't teach you how to get in touch with what feels right to you. I can't teach you how to trust yourself. I can't teach you how to, look at the card and, depending on what question you ask me, this can mean one thing and it could come out for a different question, the same card, and could mean it's like learning a language. And there's so many people, I think they say, I want to be a tarot reader. It's like, well, all I can really teach you is how to interpret the cards a little bit. But then there's a part of it where reading it and developing a relationship with that deck and developing a relationship with yourself and your intuition can't be taught. So I give some little things that I did because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. When I first started stepping into the tarot, I had no clue. And then when, like I say, I felt like I was backed into a corner and had everything ripped away from me so that I had no choice, like the universe shoved me into this position, right. I just crossed my fingers and hoped for the best. And then I started getting positive feedback. And I'm like, oh, you mean I do it my way? I don't have to do it this person's way or that person's way. I do it my way. Oh, I get it. And then the confidence started, but you can't teach that. Kind of like what you were.
I think you could teach this divine work and all that. It's just up to individuals and whether or not they're going to find their way of doing it.
Yeah.
And then, it's like one of those things to where you said trusting it. And then for me, I always, when I teach astrology, it's like I say, trust the astrology 100%. It's from the divine. It's no matter how, and that's the problem with the magician card, I feel, is that the normal human that doesn't realize how powerful it is, it's always like the number one thing you hear from people who really are not evolved is, I don't want to get a bad reading.
Yeah.
It's super simple to know. Right away, I already know who I'm dealing with. Second, somebody goes, I don't want it to be bad.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so you really do not trust the divine at all. When I do a reading, it's like, how did you get to that exact in my life? It's like, because I trusted the astrology. I trusted the tarot. I trusted whatever the divine tools, 100%. Not just my intuition. These tools lit my intuition up.
Yeah.
They are reaffirmations. So we talk about affirmations. The magician listens to the universe's affirmation first. That's the affirmation. That's the ultimate affirmation. Then we like to put out our own affirmations, and then we have to listen back to the universe's affirmations. And if the universe affirms it, then okay. Then we're on the right track and we keep going down those roads. But that's the hardest part is I don't want a bad reading. It's like, so what? You want me to just lie to you and just say that no, Saturn is not going to conjunct your sun right now, and no, that Pluto is not squaring your moon, like right now, like, or that you were born with Venus, Pluto, and Scorpio conjunct, like in the 8th house, and you don't have issues and trauma shit you need to face, fucking in relationships, and knowing how to take your walls down and also put your walls up on the fucking crazy fucking meth addict and heroin addict that's fucking trying to share needles with you with his ex-girlfriend that he just fucked her in the butt with. Like,
that's real work.
That's fucking the real work. Like, I think people also take the magician as this glammy, white-robed, gold glitter fest. Yeah. And it's like, no. And you know what? You can do that if that's your unique self and you know how to slam this work in the truth, right?
Yeah.
It's just more not about that than it is the work of getting to the 100% divine affirmation. Like, this is, I am a conduit. We're all conduits. And so I'm a conduit to this info, and this is the info that is coming out. The best is there's a reference point always. It's like with astrology, that's why the magician has the infinity signal above, is because that understanding of the secular nature and the divine nature and how it works. It's like, yeah, 100% I can't control the planets. You can't control even the cards, right? If you shuffle the cards and you do it properly, and you really, it's like people are attached to outcomes. And I think that the magician has zero attachment to the outcome, but more exciting of watching the magic happen. Yeah. It's like, I mean, that's why I think people actually really do fall in love, right? It's like somebody falls in love when the outcome doesn't look so sure, but the excitement and I'm going to be in my best self, and I'm going to be connected with the divine with this, and I'm going to see where this takes me. Yeah. And that's when the magic happens in a relationship. But when it's this whole like, I got 15 things on the list. Let me call my mom after the date. Mom, so yeah, they're Christian, but they're Catholic. Yeah. But no, I don't. Yeah. Get the fuck. Like now they have the Golden Bachelor that just came out. No. Like, older Bachelor. Oh, okay. Yeah. The golden years. Because the number one divorce rate, we've said it before, I've said it many times, is in the 50s and 60s right now. Yeah. And it reminds me of the whole baby boomer generation just completely not being magicians. And I'm not going to say all of them. I don't like to lump anything, but a majority. Yeah. Never followed any of this because they were living in a program. I have to get married by this age. I have to have a kid by this age. I have to do this by this age. I have to do this. I have to do this. Is that a magician? No, that's literally like taking that fucking magician wand and shoving it in the fucking dirt. Yeah. And then it reminds me of Edward Nygma on fucking Batman Forever when the Riddler, Jim Carrey, fucking takes his fucking shit and sucks the fucking minds out of everybody through their TV sets. Right? That magician wand can be used in very dark ways, especially those that aren't using it to connect with the divine, but trying to steal and suck your energy and project that energy. And And people get lost into a world where they feel that they can't be their unique, rare self. And then they don't put they put trust in quote unquote God. And I think where the missing part of that is, well, I'm just going to just accept that this is God's plan. And I think that's beautiful. But I also feel
step.
That there's so many more steps. And the magician understands that there's way more than just that. It's if you are going to just trust God's plan, are you going to be part of God's plan? Are you going to actually accept God's plan?
Yep.
Because that's more of like that idea of I'm accepting God's plan as what is happening is more like, I'm not going to be the participant of what God actually wants me to do. Yeah. I'm going to actually just accept that it's not what I want to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the problem. Mm-hmm. That's what you see in religion today. It's just like, well, that didn't work out. God's plan. Well, yeah, because you don't want to do God's plan.
Yeah.
It didn't go your way.
Yeah.
You know, and the magician isn't some, I think manifestation, guru as much as it is carrying out the divine way and living the life fully as God's divine plan was for you.
Yeah.
If you were to get light worker talk, it's like that fucking mission was already predetermined with you and God. You already had that meeting already. We're up there and you came down here to execute it. And so if that fool comes down here and you just want to, I think that because we live in a world of literally ones and zeros, we do. That's all a computer is 0 is off in the coding and 1 is on. So it just turns on semiconductors, everything 0 1 0 on off on off on off on off, fan on fan on. It gets more complicated as it's going quantum now, but it's like the idea though is so simple that we either live in a world where you're off 0 fool, I'm off, I'm just saying. And if you notice, he's in not even reality. He's like above, so high up in the mountains, yet so close, so he's not really on Earth yet. This is the first moment where the flowers and everything is actually on Earth. There's no dog. People with their dogs, like, I can't do anything without my dog. Fool. Right? And I know people might be like, oh! But it's because you can't do God's plan, whatever that might be, fully embedding. You feel like I need to have another best friend. Your best friend's God first.
Yeah.
And the plan. So
accepting God's plan is very important. So when you find yourself in a shitty situation, yeah, that's the first step. Okay, I am accepting that this happened for a reason. This was the universe's plan. But that doesn't mean I'm going to kick back and just let life arbitrarily happen. Right. If I find myself in a situation that's fucked up, oh, okay, well, I guess this is the universe's plan. Well, that means that I'm supposed to be doing something. So what am I supposed to be doing? What am I supposed to learn from this? How am I supposed to take this situation and transmute the energy moving forward? Because people are still so stuck in this damn illusion that God is out here somewhere. And I don't know how. I've never heard anybody in the spiritual community, and I still struggle to figure out a way to get people to understand that God is inside of them. And I don't, because you hear people say that all the time. And I can remember when I first stepped off onto my path, that would confuse the hell out of me too. What do you mean the universe is inside of me? Like, it didn't make any sense. And now I understand it. And I think one of the easiest ways to explain it is go outside, find a tree, and ask yourself, where did that tree come from? If you sit and think about that for a minute, that's fucked up. Where did that tree come from? In my front yard in Vegas, we had a 60-foot tall pine tree that came out of a little seed this fucking big. Where does wood come? This table. This fucking table. You know what's so crazy about this table, this wood table? It appeared out of nothing. It bloomed out of where? The inner dimension that is the source of all creation. Because this was once a tree. At one point in time, where does wood come from? If you take a look, your house is put together with wood. All these things are built out of wood. At one point in time, this table bloomed out of nothingness. The universe is inside of all of us.
Yes.
The universe, God, is an inner dimension that consciousness blooms out of. Okay, so back in February of 1989, I was maybe this tall. Where did the rest of me come from? Where did this 6 foot tall, 210 pound man come from this little tiny kid? The rest of me emerged and bloomed out of the inner dimension that is the source. That's the best way I can think to explain where God is. Where's God? It's not some dude sitting in the fucking clouds. It's the source that makes your heart beat. It's the fucking source that makes the sun shine. It's the source that made the right. Wood that was this table to bloom out of nothingness. And I think if people could really wrap their mind around that, I don't know, it might solve some of that confusion, you know?
Yeah, here's a basic summary of a Rosicrucian way of looking at it. We will never be able to totally unravel the mystery of life because it will always be impossible for us to create life. And I'll continue. From a Rosicrucian viewpoint, life is a manifestation of vital life force. As such, it is as indestructible and eternal energy. It is the material form that life assumes and not life itself that progressively decomposes when all the physiochemical activity of the organism has ceased. The goal of all living beings is to provide a vehicle for life, and through this medium is to give the universal soul a tangible basis for its cosmic evolution. There's really no inferior or superior life, but only different forms of life. Thus, from a cosmic viewpoint, no living creature is more important than another in the evolutionary process, as all are animated by the same energy. Although some scientists are still pondering the question of extraterrestrial life, the Rosicrucian teachings have affirmed for centuries that life may be present on other planets. According to the certain mystical traditions, the life forms on other planets where life may exist would have characteristics quite similar to those found on Earth. But the summary is that if we don't create life because life is what created us, that we're continuing the creation of life, that we are the creation, right? So like, we're not the creators, we're the creation, and we're in the physical embodiment of this very high divine physical creation and the conductors of that and radiating that out, as you said. Like and then of course there's the decomposition part of it, to where then it decomposes this reality for us to transmute the soul back to that realm of where life is created. But I think that people associate it with this idea of like, it's very cartoon kind of creating of like, God is here and then he has a son but not a daughter. Yeah. Right? And then you get thrown into this reality, and then, you know, when you die, you go to pearly gates and Jesus walks in a robe and meets you and brings you back in. Like, it's like very physical.
Yeah.
It's got a physical, and then the idea of a resurrection. It's the same way that the sun dies on the cross, especially on December 21st in that winter solstice, and how it gets crucified on all four elemental points. All the solstice and equinoxes are all the elements. So it's very simple to watch as the seasons change. It's a new element that defines it, new mutabilities and new different understandings of, you know, if it's a fixed energy of life, if it's a cardinal, if it's taking action. And that's what God is it's the three modalities, you know. It's that God energy. The G is about that energy of, it's electromagnetic that we live in this universe, but it's about that giving all that energy and moving it forward, and that O energy is holding on to it, and that D energy is dissolving it.
Yeah. I think a lot of those religious teachings that you were just talking about, I don't know if this was the reason behind it, but it seems like that was how they got people to believe shit that makes no sense without questioning it. I can remember when I was a little kid, and the other day when we were in Hollywood, we were walking down the street and there was this dude with a microphone, and he was preaching about Jesus, and Jesus died for your sins. Buddha didn't die for your sins. Muhammad didn't die for your sins. Jesus died for your sins. I can remember hearing that when I was a little kid in church, being like, what does that mean? Died for your sins? That's like me saying, I went and got new tires put on my car so that you could eat chocolate cake. What? The fuck? What do you mean died for my sin? It just doesn't even make any sense, but it sounds good. And don't question it though, or you're going to go burn in hell. So people just, well, I don't want to burn in hell, so I better believe this and I better say it.
It's very like manipulative gaslighting. It's like, I just suffered from a hemorrhoid and got shit all over me because I let you use the toilet paper roll and I waited an extra day.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes no sense.
And so, you know, we could create a religion right now, control the media, and then have people in place to control it for the next 300 years and say that toilet paper is God. That's why, and use the videos of the pandemic of everybody going to get toilet paper at Costco and it's empty. And that in the future, from 300 years from now, everybody is going to be trying to get back to heaven through toilet paper.
And not even question it.
Not even question it. And we'll do a council of, not Nicaea, but we'll do a council of the ply. 2 or 3 ply. Is it a Trinity 3 ply toilet paper? Or is it a 2? And then the RV toilet paper guys come in and we kick them out and say that they're not allowed to be part of this religion. And that's actually what happened if you were to use that as an analogy. So that magician is not even in that conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not even in that. Because that's just playing around with another major arcana, the Hierophant. A service-oriented aspect where people are humbly serving the person that's delivering the message. Mm-hmm. Not the divine humbly serving. But, you know, let me put on the fucking wardrobe and feel like I'm in the, it's just like the military, right? It's like whenever I was in, I'm not an officer. Anytime an officer walks out, indoor, outdoor, freaking, yes, hi, good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir. And then if you're not an officer and you're in an office and an officer walks, officer on deck, and everybody just stands up. Right? Like, it's like the magician is 24/7, like already on deck for the divine. It's not, oh, the Pope's in town. Let me get back to what the universe is telling me right now. You know, it's not lost in the physical carbon world.
Yeah.
Which really is the hex.
You know, it's so funny that you brought up the magician too, because this morning I saw a video where somebody explained manifestation by using the military as an example, and it was so amazing. This dude said, I did 13 years in the military, and it was so amazing how you could take this big group of people from all walks of life and all different cultures, and after 60 days, they walk away all the same.
About 90, yeah.
And he said, so how
Unless you're Air Force.
He said, how did they do that? Well, every single morning we get up and we run and we sing these songs. I am unstoppable. Cadence. I will not give up. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he said, we keep repeating it over and over until we get emotional about it. And then what that does with repetition over and over, it burns itself into your subconscious mind and you start believing it.
Yeah. And it's not left, right, left. It's 1, 2, or 3, or 4. Odds are left, evens are right. I was the RPOC, so. And then it, like, as you're going, 1, 2, 3, 4, you won, 2, 3, 2 or 3 or 4, you won't, 2, oh, you won't. It's just nonstop, fucking, and us talking shit on the Army. Well, we're the fucking Navy, and us talking shit on the Marines, but we are in the same boat. Ha! You know, because Marine and Navy are. Like, you know, and that indoctrination of also while kicking the shit out of you.
Mm-hmm. Brainwashing.
And then putting you into uniform. And the uniform is what you wear, but it's also, we call it when I was the RPOC, it's like I have to dress my unit, right? So I have to put my unit and organize them. And so they all have to be in dress position with their arm at perfect length and everybody in line correctly. And then as a solid unit, they only listen to me, which then I'm listening to my superiors, which they're listening to their superiors. I mean, there's a similar way with this, but I think it's just, God is not trying to act so superior on you. It's more about you willing to work with already a divine, beautiful relationship that you had coming in here and that you'll have leaving here. It's your choice on whether or not you want to sever that connection. And unfortunately, we live in a world where that's really what's happening right now. Is people can look at it from a money or a government or a control to take a shot or and that's all relevant stuff. But the main thing is to sever your tie with the divine, and then to really cheaply, not some sort of dock line to this dock that has no connection to any safe, stubborn, like even no actual physical place that's going to stay good, like some religion or something. That's barely on its last legs, and have people all be tight on the boat and be all out there in the middle, and then out of nowhere 5 paddle boards are just there in all these bodies, and you see the Obamas in the background waving.
I seriously think that it's to the point now where you're either awake or you're a bot. And I seriously, I heard somebody say this too. They said, in today's day and age, we have more awake and more evolved souls on the planet than ever before. But just like yin yang, we also have more unevolved people and souls on the planet and unawakened. And like for example, the other day when we were in Hollywood, we went to the bathroom and I was waiting, and my daughter came out with my wife, and she said,
Did you guys go to the Snow White bar?
Nah, we were only there for about an hour just to show Nevaeh around because she had never seen Hollywood before. But anyway, they came out of the bathroom. One of them public
the Dolby Theater.
Yeah, something like that. And my wife said there was a lady in there with a mask on, washing her hands with gloves on. And I said, that's a bot. That's not a human. That is a Matrix NPC bot. She said, I couldn't believe she was wearing gloves, washing her hands with gloves on and a mask on. I said, that's a bot. That's not a human. That's not a fucking human. That is a goddamn NPC bot. There ain't no fucking human consciousness going on in that skull. That's a bot. I'm convinced of it.
Well, yeah, I mean, if God meant for us, I mean, already the silica in your nose, the way that your tonsils work, the way that the natural way that your human body works naturally of taking in air, which is spirit. Our body, the food that we eat and that we drink is the physical aspects, but it's the spirit we breathe in. But the long story short is that the filtration system that we were if we were meant to wear a mask, we would have been born with some flesh mask.
Yeah.
Or we would have had gills like fish underwater. We would, like all these things have already been thought out. So the idea that people are trying to, it's weird because the word transmute is really transmutation. They're both together. So people are trying to mutate humans, and then there's transmutation, right? So they're trying to mutate, but then they're trying to also mutate the understandings and the physical at the same time. So there's mutation, which is just a mutation physically, it could be a mutation spiritually, but when you do transmutation, it's really about multi levels of all these elements at once.
Yeah.
And then we're seeing that in the negative though. We're seeing a world now where it's like, oh yeah, no, we're magicians, but we're gonna invert the divine and we're gonna transmute that the divine is bad and that people that speak truth from the divine they are the cause and the problem to society. And the people that are right are the people who, let's just be real, are advocating, paying for, and creating the fake magic show to look like it's being transmutated in a holy spiritual way. Like, that you are a good human because you wearing your gloves and your mask and you're washing them too while not being able to breathe and not trusting the divine. So earlier he said the magician trusts the divine completely. You should trust your nose and your mouth and the breathing apparatus that you were naturally born with, instead of the idea that as humans we're just supposed to wear it again naked and afraid. You're left with a flint and usually either a knife or something. Those are gifts. And you can survive 21 days in the middle of where there's fucking, in the Amazon, spiders that will kill you fucking the craziest shit I've ever seen. There's thorns on fucking vines and shit that fucking will go all the way and take out your fucking nerves and your muscular, so you never will be able to move your arm the same way again. I mean, like, that's just one little tiny 0.0001% of the shit. And we live in a reality where people are trying to transmit fear.
Yeah.
And they're trying to transmute love into fear. They're trying to transmute health into sickness. They're trying to transmute fucking genders. They're trying to transmute everything that's all inverted to where you're not even being able to see the things. And that's what's scary is, do you really think a lot of people that are transmuting into these new philosophies of a new religion really are actually gonna go to a hike and stub their toe on a rock with hiking boots? They won't even wear the hiking boots because they'd rather be safe in their house with the mask on. Because if they were to go try and hike with the masks and the glove on, not only are their hands going to sweat profusely in those gloves, but they're not going to be able to breathe. Right? So it's like, so it becomes to one of those points to where it's like, they have these dark evil plans for people to get to where they feel like that in the cities or the little urban towns they live in, to live in the unnatural world just is the only thing that there is, and that the only unsafe thing in the world is another person or that instead of all the actual things that are happening. Yet at the same time, you know, if I were to drop a spider in that person's fucking room, like a black widow, let's say, that mask isn't going to save him. Those gloves aren't going to save him. And I wonder if they'd be scared, or if they're more scared of the transmuted fear energies that are really trying to take away the magic and the love and the connection of people. And that was the hardest part about the plan of demics, right? Was the epidemic was transmutation of the dark black magic. So if you think of that, to me, what hurt the most, but I didn't let it hurt me fully, but it had that spiritual, really, I would say, sting, would be that they were separating humankind, that they were having other humans judge humans by whether or not they're an experiment or not, with things that today they don't know what's in there. And that obviously it's on, even South Korea now is paying $22,000 for every person who's died from the shot for reparations.
Still? Oh, okay.
Right. So it's like, okay, I'm not just saying this like it's some conspiracy right now. And we have countries paying families of people who have died from the shot because there's so many. So it's like, okay, so like, but and now it's the idea of, we already transmuted these people. Now we'll just keep transmuting them through the next thing. But what's the next thing is always some disaster. And now it's another thing to transmute out of the next disaster. And so it's a disaster transmutation cycle that they've thrown people who bought it in. And the magician's just sitting there and watching and going like, I don't see any of these cards. I don't see any of these things playing out. I don't see the ether anywhere in here. I don't see a way to get to the ether. I don't see a way to get to the higher form. I don't see it. I see the cap intentionally. And that cap intentionally is to just make another transmutation, to think we've made it through, when it's like Free Willy. Like, okay, Free Willy, we got to get Willy, and he's got to jump over the fucking berm to get to the ocean for free. But what they've done is they fucking had Willie get really fat and barely make it and blubber onto the fucking rocks and try and do all this transmutation to have him fucking like move his whole body while he's cutting himself to try and get over. And by the time he gets to the other side of the water, he won't even be able to swim. But it's the whole fake magic of like, you got it. Oh God. And then, you know, these people are watching people just like get sharp edges on the rocks as Free Willy's trying to, there's no more jumping through the air anymore. It's just like, and just keep going through the next thing and wear a mask now. And like, just by the time you get it, it's just blood and blubber everywhere. And then blaming it on all the people that didn't follow the transmutation of the fake magic. Well, that's the most wildest shit I've ever watched.
Yeah.
And we're right now, I would say, like, we've hit the peak of the berm, and Free Willy is now doing this. And now it's the slide down, which cuts even more.
Yeah. Well, like I said the other day during our live event, which the people watching on YouTube, a lot of them probably didn't see that event, but I hold the firm belief that it's going to be a very controlled catastrophe. It's going to be a catastrophe, but it's going to be very controlled in a way that gives as many people the chance to wake up as they possibly can. This next go around, I seriously feel like if you don't wake up through this next go around, it's over for you. It's over because it's being controlled. It's a controlled demolition of the old system. Still going to be fucking horrible. But I believe, I could be wrong on this, but my feeling is that it's going to be something very vibrationally similar to 2020, but there will be easier access to information. Could you imagine if they put us through another fucking catastrophe like 2020, only there's no censorship, all the information is out there, you have the freedom of any information that you want, giving people the chance to say, oh, well, maybe that dude is right. Let me go look into this. And they can actually look into it because the information's available. Right. Giving the population a chance to really open their eyes and stand up and take their sovereignty back. And the people who don't, I believe it's over for you. This next time, I don't think there's going to be a next time after that. This is the last chance.
Yeah, because they're telling Willie now that he's got halfway up the berm of rocks. He wasn't able to fly. They convinced him to just try and swim over the rocks. He's already got up. He's torn up. He's wearing a mask. He's shot up to the 9. They're basically going to pull the whole, you got to eat your own shit. And he's going to do that because it's convincing to, and then spit it out to make it a smoother landing because we're going to have a soft landing in the economy. Right? Like okay. Oh, you're doing it, Willie. Right? And just like, and then other people will be like, well, I'm wearing gloves and a mask for a reason. I can hold my log, no problem. And then be like in Caddyshack, like Bill Murray, and sit there, fucking eat it. Even though it's a Babe Ruth, but that's another magic trick, right? But it's like that, like people are actually, it's not going to be a Babe Ruth. It's gonna, like, you need to eat your fucking shit because it gets rid of the because that's, I mean, I'm not going to get into it on this fucking show about the bacteria that the fucking shots affecting people's guts. But the only way to get bacteria back is throw the worst bacteria you can to counter all the bad bacteria that you fucking only have, and you need some sort of good bacteria, so take your poop and eat it. I'm not saying that's what it's gonna be, but it's like that's the hyperbole of like where we're at now.
That's not that far fetched.
It's not that far fetched. That's where we're at. And then at the very end, when he gets in there and he breaks apart, and then that's when they're like, all right, get everyone here and steal the blubber and fucking you know, and thanks for disembobulating yourself for us. And you made us a lot of money. And who's next?
Yeah, they're going to push it and see how far they can go. I mean, and it wouldn't. And I know it kind of sounds like you're exaggerating there, but that's literally not. It's going to get to the point to where they go that crazy. They're going to tell everybody that if you don't want to catch this next virus, you have to shove a broom up your ass and sweep the streets with it, just to see who's going to do it, to get the people to say, God damn, this is fucking ridiculous. This is ridiculous. And the people, and there's probably going to be a couple of stragglers out there who will eat their damn doo-doo. They will shove a broom up their ass and sweep the streets with it. And if that's you, if you get sucked into it after a certain point, you ain't going to make it through. You won't make it to the new system, you know?
Well, it's like in China, it was just last year in 2022 that they rounded all the cats and dogs in Beijing because they said that they had fucking COVID.
Yeah.
And they made them put them in bags in front of their house.
Fucking Christ.
Now imagine if that ever happened in America.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
How many people do you think would do it? Is that what it's going to take to wake people up because so many people are the fool and they're so connected to their dog so much? Which I'm not saying it's a bad thing. But it's that we're at that point to where you're that dumb.
Yeah.
We have to get to the point to where it's already happening in China and other places. And then when it comes here, you'll finally wake up. It took all these other things. You watched people die. You watched all this crazy shit happen.
Yeah.
You were part of it, and then you fucking wouldn't let people come to your house because they weren't fucking banks.
Dude.
But when the government's gonna say that you need to put your cat or your dog on the fuck in a bag, put them in a pillowcase, and it better be a big one. You better tie it fucking fully with a knot, or we're sending you into jail. How many will do it?
Dude, I shit you not. We went to a dolphin show in Vegas where they have the dolphins and shit. Outdoors. The lady running the show yelled at me over the microphone to put my mask over my nose because the dolphins might catch COVID. I shit you not. That is how fucking stupid some of these people were. I was like, you have got to be fucking kidding me right now. So to answer your question, who would do it? Shit. Probably a lot of people. It's sad, man. It's fucking crazy.
That's a new one. I already thought I was a stretch with Free Willy, and that's a fucking fictional story, even though Willie was a real fucking SeaWorld fucking. Mm-hmm. And that was
SeaWorld, SeaWorld.
Tortured fucking. The smartest mammal on the planet, is most spiritual, by the way, are the fucking killer whales. So they are. So that's the biggest tragedy. But yeah, the idea that the dolphins, I guess, Flipper. Mm-hmm. He's lucky. I won't be surprised if there'll be commercials in the future like Flipper never had to live in our time, and they'll show him all happy in 60s, like Technicolor, and then fucking be like, but today's dolphins are suffering because of you. It's just like, what in the fuck's going on here? I thought that the whole suffering of all this shit with animals and all this shit was from the fucking fucktards who are saying the exact same thing to put the mask on. So the woman who's training the dolphins and treating them like shit and probably screams at them and probably treats them like fucking Snowflake and fucking Ace Ventura 2. Mm-hmm. Is the one yelling you to put a mask on so they don't get COVID, but that girl, I bet you, is doing the weirdest shit to that dolphin and treating it like shit.
Yeah, to put it over my nose. I had it on with my nose out like this, and she bitched at me over the mic to pull it up over my nose because the dolphins breathe the same air as you. They can catch COVID.
Which is spirit. So when they fuck with the mask, it's denying people to breathe in spirit.
Mm-hmm. Prana.
If you think about that, right? So it's like the idea that the dolphin is breathing the same air that you breathe is the exact spiritual air that the dolphin and you both need, right? To be spiritual. And dolphins are also the most evolved mammals on the planet next to orcas and killer whales, right? So it's like the idea that our most best friend that we can learn the most from is, how dare you? And that woman being more primitive than the fucking dolphin.
Yeah.
As the dolphin's telepathically telling you like, fucking retard bitch, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like fucking, and she treats me like shit. You know what I mean? She just should go home. She fucking tries to talk to me all night and fucking holds fish for me in order for me to fucking do a trick for her. You know, it's like, oh my God, like that's the black dark magic happening, and people don't see it though. Like it's the magician's willing to see it's an observant. The magician's observant. Like, is this magical? That's not magical. You just took the magic out of the dolphin. Trying to, even the dolphin probably just went, like, so she doesn't even realizing the negative she's affecting everybody around, including the dolphin and you and your life. And people that put themselves in those places, I'm not here to be none of us are the judgment of what's going to happen to us. We don't know what that looks like, but there has definitely been a split on Earth, and we're at that last moment where it's like there's two realities playing right in front, and that's what's weird is we're crossing the veil right now. Yeah, and we're in two different realities at the same time, and it's getting so extreme. But it feels like it's getting closer. But what that means is that we've been on the drift. It's been happening. The different Earths are splitting. And that's what happens, is it because as you're going into yours and you're finding more people associated with your timeline and your life, and that's connected to this divine, we're all looking around observing together now, being like, consciously, collectively being like, what the fuck? And then there's another collective that's just like, we want to be here and wear a mask and tell dolphins to wear, and put a mask over the dolphin's fucking blow fucking hole.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy, but that's their choice. And that's, like, at this point, I feel like it's already been chosen. I don't think that there's much to shift here. I think it's about keeping people from joining that and making the worst leap of their life. It looks like an easy leap. Like, let me just go back to the normal life.
Yeah.
You're so far on this splitting of the earth. You're so far on this timeline. It's like, it always gets toughest right before the dawn, right? It always gets the toughest as the split's happening at its biggest. And humanity of any size has never gone through this, or any kind of species, or any kind of conscious society. So it's like, we all have to be here to help each other to get through this and stay on the track. It's going to be all right. Not let the fears of pinnacle life and manifestation physically and emotional manifestation and passion manifestation and the mind manifestation get us down. We have to all be there for each other and help each other out to make it through these last years of the split, and watching these parallel but not parallel universes like not become parallel anymore. Like they're not, they're polarized in many ways, and
yeah, it's sad and scary to watch, but it's an honor to fucking be alive in this lifetime now,
yeah,
because those of us, if you forget, if you're questioning how badass you are, if you're here in this time, you were chosen. You're a fucking badass. Because, there were so many beings and entities lined up across the universe to try to come be here for this shit.
Yeah, there's no number for it.
Yeah. And
because when you see it's infinite of souls wishing they could.
Mm-hmm. Only a select few of us got chosen to come be here. And especially those of us who are here doing this work, we're fucking badasses. Anybody who's doing the real work. Like what about a few minutes ago when you were talking about, people who they're afraid of getting readings because they don't want to get a bad reading. I very much understand that. I'm afraid of getting bad readings too, but the reason being is because I don't trust the reader to give me the proper tools to create my own outcome. That's what I do for people, because bad readings happen. And they happen a lot in my line of work. A lot of the clients that come to me.
Yeah, it's like a doctor giving an experimental shot and saying you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Right? Like somebody doing a tarot reading or astrology reading being like, oh yeah, it's going to be really bad. So have a nice day.
Yeah, to me.
Without giving you the reasons and the understanding and the timing and what's the conscious lesson here. And this is how to move through this. Like there has to be the magician at least offers like, this is all that's on the table. It seems like it's a lot, but it's so simple. It's like, this is what's on the table. It's very cut and dry and very basic and very simple. The divine is simple. It wasn't a simple choice for all of us to come down here because we knew it was fucking hard, and a bunch of people didn't raise their hands. We're the people who raised our hands and went, fuck, okay. And everybody looked at us even upstairs and we're like, bah, you're really gonna do that and go back down there again and fucking go through that shit? It's like, yeah, but there's a calling to it. But like, this isn't about looking for some sort of reward, but there is one at the end of it. There's that reward of the new universe fully that is going to be a new council. There's going to be a new higher dimensional council that is ones that won't. It's not like there still won't be fuck ups in new universes, but the divine's creating the second version, and instead of a council of like these ideas of creator gods that are just out and just look at the universe just full of shit, there's nothing in it, there's all crap. Right? So it's like imagine a universe when you look up and everything's full of life that's not just some atom idea or some algae or some sort of electromagnetic idea somewhere far away, but actually a universe full of life.
Yeah, and another really important thing to keep in mind too is that the council and the guides and the ascended masters, it's very important to keep in mind that they are beings of consciousness just like we are.
Yeah.
They may have a higher perspective than we do, but they're still individual beings of consciousness just like we are. They have their own preferences. They have their own opinions. They have their own bias. They're not the end all be all. So it's important to take, when you are connecting with the divine, it's important to pay attention to what you're connecting to.
Yeah, because the new universe is wiping all those councils away. It's not like you're going to be going to Saint Germain on the new universe, He got too embedded in just being so focused on fucking ultraviolet light that, that he started painting his dog fucking ultraviolet. So, you know what I mean? Like that's where the divine's at. Is like, okay, we're going to a new one where people understand the hermetics, the alchemy, the spirituality, and how it all functions. Imagine if there was a council in a universe full of souls that understood this. What could they really do by using the divine playbook that already works?
Yeah.
Like everybody's tried to go create all these solar systems, these creator gods and shit, and they fail every time because they try to do it their way instead of the way that the divine works. So it's not so much that they're not getting their way, it's that they're too spiritually ego that they don't. It's like they don't want to give credence to the divine, like, and to the prime creator. They don't want to.
Yeah.
It's like they have a bias, like that they want to be the one,
Yeah, yeah.
And that never, because I think I don't know the truth. Nobody does it. That last round, nobody will ever know fully until we get there. But it's like, I think we'll be blown away. I don't think that prime creator is this one single entity. I think it's a massive amount of energy we couldn't even possibly fathom.
Yeah.
Multi-dimensional in every way and represents all beings times a million in every way. That it would be like the dumbest thing in the universe to just go be by yourself and try and go build some solar system and some earth and fail and carry it with you. And I think that you bring the best advice I've heard anybody ever say, which is like, there's biases upstairs too with people who claim that, their angelhood and all these different things. It's not like, but that's the problem, is that people get too caught up into just relying on those sources only.
Yeah.
And in spiritual counsel and channeling, and that it's like, what's coming through? If I'm talking to somebody else's guides, like, it's very clear to me, like, when they really want some sort of information. I'm not trying to force it out of them. It's just like, and that's how I know they're coming from the divine good. Is like, it's like, and some are just like, we need this info to this person right now. And they still do it in a courteous way, and they do it in a way that's understanding, that makes always common sense.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, is anything that doesn't have common sense isn't magical. Like, and that's a hard one, because we like to get really wound up into really conflicting and really weird situations as a collective and individuals, when spirit and the divine and being a magician is so not complex. It seems the most complex when it's the most simple.
I know, I love it that you say that, because I try to tell that to my clients all the time. I mean, actually, let me reword that. It is complex, but it's not complicated.
Yeah.
There's a lot to it, but people would be so blown away if they really could grasp how simple it is. It's so simple. We're the ones that make it complicated. I tell people this in love readings all the time, because people try to make things so overcomplicated. They get in these relationships that are so obviously relationships they shouldn't be fucking with. And it's so simple. Do you trust this person 100%? Well, that's not your person.
Yep.
Do you know exactly how this person feels about you? Well, no, that's not your person. Simple. That's why I give people such simple little guidelines to follow as advice. And I think it's so simple, people still can't wrap their mind around it. Oh, it can't be that easy. Yes, it can. It is that fucking simple. And if we would stop overcomplicating with our ego brains, trying to turn it into more than it is, and the ego gets involved and starts trying to think, well, what if this, what if that? Maybe if I did it this way, and maybe it means that, maybe that's ego, that's not the divine. Or that's some other lower astral being feeding you shit. Yeah,
feeding, because it's gonna have another line under it. Like, it's like Fauci, right? Like, no masks are gonna need to be worn. Oh wait, masks need to be worn. Oh, but the shot's you won't get COVID. Oh, but it's gonna protect you more so you don't get hospitalized. Now it's so you don't die from it. Now it's just, well, we can't guarantee any of that, right? So what's the next feed frenzy on? And that's the relationship thing. Well, I don't because of just this. That's it. Like, so I get that a lot. Like, what do you mean? Of course, 100%, but here's my but list.
Yeah.
And it's like, because it's just like, these are normal things, right? It's just like, well, no, that's not that normal. Like, that's not that normal. Like, that's not that common sense. That's not that divine. Oh, and you both don't see the universe and God the same way. Oh.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying you have to look at it exactly the same way, but there's a common seeing of the magic at work. Mm-hmm. And that's where it's like these couples today think, I'm going to be able to make it through. Love will conquer all. Well, love comes from the divine. So it's like
right.
The idea that you're creating the love, right? It's like you are the creation that is embodied of the love, but without that connection to what created you.
It always defaults back to the same point. Out here. God is out here. The answers are out here. Love is out here, and it has to come in. People are so programmed to look for everything out here. Somebody out here has the answers. Even somebody like me or you. People come to me and you for the answers. And when somebody comes to me, I make it my goal. When somebody comes to me, or even just watches one of my videos, even somebody watching this right now, my goal is to get you to figure out how to look in here. And I think, I know we've talked about this before, but it goes back to that worship gene, whatever that shit is the Anunnaki did to our DNA. That makes us want to worship something out here. They think everything is out here. People ask me all the time, do I have love coming in? And I'll say, no, I don't need a tarot card to tell you that. Love doesn't come in. When will I meet the right person for me? Which indicates that I need somebody to come meet my needs and bring love to me. No. How can I be the right person? It always goes within. It always comes from within. People are so programmed to look for everything out here, and
well, they're attached to that carbon element of life, the physical, right? The love is more in the idea of like, I want the physical feeling of it the same way. It's like some people always ask me, am I going to die? It's like, yes, your carbon body is going to die. Your soul's infinite. It's going to move on. So people are so afraid about dying. Mm-hmm. It's the same way they're so afraid of not having love, yet it's infinitely there when it's connected to the divine and that you're creating with that. And only in that space is the love of everything in life going to come. And especially in yourself first. But that's the hard part here. I don't think that we're creating answers for people. It's like, I love human design because, it's like if you were to look at all the chakras of the body, we're getting to the places that just got clogged up, and understanding the clog and understanding for you to clear the clog yourself. Mm-hmm. And sometimes clearing the clog, half of the battle is just understanding that you can clear it, right? That you can, now you know where the clog is, or at least this is all I'm gonna have to do to clear it. Oh man, it's so much. Oh man, I was so lost. I was under the clog, and I was fucking sitting there with all the Drano I fucking had. I don't know. I think CVS is still alive from women going to buy Drano. You know what I mean? Like, because like that shit don't do shit. Drano Max 11 times maxed out for women's hair, even their wigs. Like fucking whatever. Like sorry, the chemical can break down some of it, but you're gonna have to get down there with the fucking snake and fucking yank that shit out or push it all the way down through. It's the idea that we could just like Drano it.
Just grab a crystal and do it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like fuck no. Like I think it's not an answer to the universe or to the predictive element. It's like, okay, the flows naturally stop in certain regions of our soul for reasons to look and counter to understand. All 4 elements, you're going to have highs and cups, lows and pentacles maybe, or you could have it evened out. And that's not enough. We always want something to come up, and then we always want something to maybe come down. All this is too much fucking responsibility and money in the pentacles right now. I just want some vacation time on the beach. I just want some emotional, moment. And it's like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. I just wish I had some swords. I got no swords in my life right now. It's just like, well, I don't have any passion. Oh, God, I have but I'm filled with, I'm secure. I've got money. I've got a lot of commitment from all these people who love me, but I just don't know what to do.
Yeah, every time, dude, like clockwork.
It's like...
They're looking for that answer. They're looking for the pentacle to bring them the feeling of abundance. Yeah. They're looking for the cup to bring them the feeling when it's all about matching the frequency.
Yeah.
What does match the frequency mean? Okay, well, what is it that you're looking for? I'm looking for money. No, you're not. What you're looking for is freedom. Freedom and relief from stress.
And then what would you do if you got that? Most people don't ever actually go there.
Because they don't want money. They think they want money because their problem is they're stressed. I'm stressed. I don't know when the rent's going to get paid. I don't know if I'm going to have gas. Okay, well, money is not going to take your stress away. If you're on a vibration of stress and I dump a bunch of money on you, you're going to take that money and manifest stress that you couldn't even comprehend right now.
Yeah, because you're going to add more on top of those things and then get to a point when the money's gone. Now you got more stress. Or let's say it's to get out of this job, to get out of this house, to get it to a better place in my life. It's like, okay, and you have this idea of it. There's more responsibilities with that, and then there's more responsibilities you have to take on in your role of life to hold that energy. And then what, are you going to be more pissed now? Because, oh God, it's always that you're just not in alignment with your frequency match of yourself, like with the divine. Like that's usually the first place to look. Everybody's always looking at, it's the person, the place, the thing, the noun. It's the house, it's the car, it's the person, it's the relationship, it's the job. It's like, where are you in that connection at first? Because if that's severed, well, everything that you're looking at's wrong. And I think that's the hardest for people to realize. Is like, you mean to tell me that I manifest everything incorrectly? It's like, yeah, that's okay though. Like, you go up there, you reconnect, and you do it from that lens, and talk about Drano looking like the worst chemical ever made that doesn't work. And are you ready for all the fucking flow of life? Well, I don't. You don't need to take your mask off.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're gonna have to take a breath. Oh, I haven't done that in years. I actually like the smell of burnt plastic in the morning.
I very much relate and understand to that little quote that Jim Carrey said, where he said, I wish everybody could become big, successful, make all the money in the world, and have all their dreams come true so that they could see that that's not the answer. I remember when I first heard that made no sense to me. And now I get it. Yeah. I wish that everybody out there desperately searching for the money and the relationship, I wish they could just have it right now. Have it right now. And it won't take too long. It'll be fun for a little bit. You'll have fun for a little bit. But it won't take too long before you're sitting there like, okay, now what? You know what I think? I think a lot of people would probably end up suicidal after a certain point.
Yeah.
If you gave everybody all the money that they wanted, the perfect relationship, a fucking mansion, their dream cars, all the things that they think they want, after a certain point, there's no point in life now. What's the point?
Yeah, because the point has a mission behind it and the work to do here. So it's like, and you don't fully enjoy all those things at one moment. That's the other thing is people think, at one moment, I'm going to be fucking my wife while cleaning my fucking car while jumping and doing backflips off the fucking roof of the mansion into the fucking infinity pool and jacuzzi while putting on my new fucking John Varvatos fucking leather shoes while at the same time I'm on my new iPhone 15 videoing it. while I'm on vacation in Tulum at the same time, listening to my favorite DJ on E that I bought from a fentanyl dealer. Like, you know, like people think so mushed together that they try to compact it all in, and then they don't. What happens is time goes by, and then they get to where all these 50 and 60-year-olds right now are all getting divorced because that's what they did. Is they got to that place where they manifested. They're not happy. They didn't do a mission, and now that's why you see them becoming more mission oriented, and then shifting gears here, and then that's why Golden Bachelor's out now, and Golden fucking Corral. Golden Corrals for the old people, like golden fucking years, or even like everything now is turning into like this like older sensationalism with Social Security. I saw an article today. It was like, what happens when you die with your Social Security? It's like, well, yeah, you don't get paid anymore. There's a $255 check that goes to like your significant other or a family member, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like once you're gone, you're gone. The Social Security, and so people are like trying to aim for, and I feel bad because it's that generation that fortified and for the last 30 years have not passed a true spending bill correctly. It's always got to go to what they just went through again to fucking fund the government for 45 days. Yeah. Where, okay, we're going to borrow more and we're going to figure this out later. They're done. This is the generation that fucked us all over.
Yeah. And they're just amping it up and changing the game now because those people back in that generation, remember what the American dream?
Yeah.
Go to school, go to college, get a degree, buy a house, get married, have a white picket fence and a family and a puppy dog. The American dream, and now they can see, well, they got the American dream, and then they're like, now what? So now with these new generations, they got to switch it up a little bit because that's out the window. So now got to become a successful self-employed millionaire driving a Bugatti and a private jet and having all these hot bitches. And there's a lot of young dudes that are going to go out there and they're going to do that. And then they're going to end up in the same place that these old fucking, they're going to be like, oh,
they'll be on a mountain in Transylvania with fucking fucktard, fucking Andrew Tate, fucking talking about Megan Fox with a dick, Hulk Hogan with a pussy. That's all they're going to be doing.
Yep.
That's going to be their mission-oriented understanding. Mm-hmm. It's like, Megan Fox with a pussy.
That was a funny one.
Or with a dick, sorry.
Yeah. That one was funny as fuck, though.
I know, but it's just like...
But that's the new game now. Now they're putting that out there for the thing that just like the American dream was, because I was raised by my grandparents who fell for the same shit. The house, the degree, and this and that.
The coffee thermostat with the fucking lunch you bring, like the UAW workers of the car in Detroit. That's what they're all fighting to get back in their life. And I remember all the old Chevy commercials, like a rock.
Yeah.
And the truck, but it would show the workers going to work in the morning and the construction and that America. Just like you go work and you put your shit in, and then now it's just like, no, you just get your shot, and then you don't do anything, and then you go to these schools where they indoctrinate you, and then you don't pay, and then the government and the president tells you you don't have to pay your loans, but then we really have to pay the loans, and now that just started yesterday, and now they're all the college kids want to revolt.
Yeah.
And then they want everybody that actually works to fucking pay for every fucking buddy to not do anything. Mm-hmm. And then they're complaining like the Republicans are taking away American. It's like, what do you mean? Like, to take away America is to be on all these services.
Yeah.
There is no America because there is no... The idea that everybody for every two people on Social Security, there's one person working right now. It's like, how's that gonna work? So if you're a Democrat right now, you're fucking. I'll be nice. You're just not even thinking.
Well, that's another big reason why they don't want you to understand energy and how energy behaves. Because if everybody understood the energy of money, wouldn't nobody be on these services? Nobody would be asking for socialism. These idiots out here that are saying socialism would solve all of our problems, if they had the slightest fucking clue how energy behaves, let alone the energy of money, They wouldn't be saying that.
Well, that's what's crazy about this card is it's got that infinite loop that it's like history repeats itself. The magician knows that. It's like, are we really going down the socialism road again? That didn't end up well. That's what caused World War II. That's what caused all these problems that were all solved, and then it comes back again. And it becomes all indoctrinated through the figures you see right now, the Sam Smiths and the fucking, all these people don't make it through every idea of socialism coming up and communism again. They never make it. The people who try to indoctrinate, you never see them afterwards, because then the new regime that comes in takes it to authoritarianism and they kill all those people.
Yeah, they're the first ones to go.
They're the first ones to go. So it's like it's really sad because, well, and all they have left to do. I mean, when you and I were young, like being bad was like hopping a fence and like, you know, I tagged some shit and, you know, like, okay, now it's like break into fucking Target with all your boys at 12.
Yeah.
With fucking full-blown fucking crowbars and all fucking, and they use the masks. Right? So if I see a kid that's under 18 wearing a mask, especially a dude, I'm like, that fool's gonna go rob somebody right now. Right? Like that's why and then they have their hoodie on, but they run into all these Targets, break all the windows, steal as much as they fucking can. That's like that's all that there's left for them is like, we're gonna go steal this, we're gonna go do that, we're gonna go do that. And then the idea of like, I'm gonna be a drug dealer and I'm gonna sell fentanyl pills. And that's what's crazy now is like it's fentanyl pills, you know, like it's just like and people know that they're a fentanyl pill. It's like it's just here's fentanyl on a pill, and then fucking, you know, it's not until they give it to their girlfriend and then the girlfriend dies, and then they have to cover up the death of their girlfriend. Fuck. And then that takes them down an even darker hole.
How did they get these idiots? Back in my drug doing days, fentanyl came in a strip, and you could buy a strip for $40, big long strip like that, and you cut off a little piece of it, a little teeny corner of it, and stick it in your gums and be fucking fucked up for hours. And I could make a strip last me 2 weeks. How did they get these idiots to be so ignorant and stupid about drugs and shit? Me and my drug buddies, dude, we knew everything. We knew every pill. We could take a look at a pill and tell you what it was called, how many milligrams of what drugs was in it.
Right, exactly.
And we did our research. We educated ourselves. Seems like these...
Arrowwood.org, fucking.
Yeah.
The old website, fucking.
Yeah. It just seems like now, I don't know what they've done ever since.
People probably don't know that, but if you look it up, you'll be like, okay, you were an old motherfucker because you tried to go to Arrowwood. Like fucking, that's how you want. If you want to know about drugs, go to Arrowwood. It's still up. It's probably the 2000 site still, but yeah, it's fucking dope.
I'd go to pillidentifier.com.
Yeah, or pillreports.com.
Or yeah. And I mean,
and they would tell you by region and we give experiences of people, but then that's why I always bought a test kit.
Yeah, I mean, we did our research back then.
You know, that shit was fucking dark purple, fucking black. I'm like, it's just bomb. It should turn any orange, yellow, or anything. I'm like, I am staying the fuck away from it.
Yeah.
It was very easy. Like it was very easy to see also the color and be like, nope, this is Chinese fucking methanol. Like this is not fucking. Nope, this is. I can't even say this shit. But you're not. I always used to make videos of me testing somebody's drugs for them, and I'd be like, nope, you're not doing E, you're doing this Chinese methylone. Sorry, you're moon rock. Ain't moon rock, you know what I mean? But now they just do it.
Stupid. I mean, everybody's stupid as hell. It's sad.
I guess that would be kind of a good way to end the show. Is like the big question is like how do we use the magician or the magician as individuals in this kind of a world? And I'll just answer mine really quick, because I don't think it's about how we intervene. I think it's more about how we hold the divine energy and how we just can. That eventually people they fall down the path so hard that that light that you keep holding is finally seen when it's ready to be seen. You can't force somebody to change. So the magician is not forcing anybody to change. It's not running after anybody. It's just standing there. It reminds me of Lady Liberty in many ways, of how she's just holding that light, that torch of liberty. Mm-hmm. Which really, that liberty is to be free to go back to home, like at the end of the day. But that's not something that you want to go home too early for. Mm-hmm. You want to use this experience down here fully to finish the mission. That's the whole point.
Yeah. I mean, I still think that there could be more things done. I mean, you can't force people to change, but you can help them understand how it works. So, like, my goal in life is to get to a point to where it's mainstream knowledge. Just, it's in schools, they're talking about it. Doctors and nurses are talking about it. It's just everybody knows what frequency and vibration is. Everybody understands, because now, like, I think the last time I heard, in order to go to med school to be a doctor, one day in med school, and it's not even the whole day, half of the day is spent studying the placebo effect. Half a day. When the placebo effect is the most powerful fucking thing that you could understand how it works. They talk about it for half a day. There's a little bit of evidence that might suggest that if somebody believes that they're going to cure their cancer might go away. I don't know. They try to shy away from it. It's like, no, they actually have the technology to measure where you're sending your energy to what parts of your body. They already know it. So if we would just get to the point to where we're teaching this as if it's common knowledge, I'm not going to force you to change, but I'm going to explain to you how it works, and you're going to hear it from these sources that you trust so much, the news, fucking doctors, teachers at school, college professors. If we made it mainstream knowledge and started putting it out there like that, so at least you understood how it worked, you wouldn't have to force anybody to change. At some point, they would be like, oh, okay, so my emotions and my frequency and my vibration affect my reality this way. Okay, well, I'm going to keep an eye on that shit.
Yeah, and I feel like the magician understands all the cards of the tarot. Is like, I'm going to have to go through a Five of Cups moment. So it's like, instead of saying to Joe Rogan, why are you putting Neil deGrasse Tyson fucking on when he's just not for this kind of shit? Yeah. But it's like, at the same time, it's like, no, it's because they keep putting people on like that wakes people up.
Yeah.
Right? So it's kind of like, that's one of it. But like, the placebo effect is, I'm just going to say it, my brother's bachelor party. I was the best man, so of course I'm his brother. So if we go, and fucking one of my brother's buddies and I got along great. I had never met him before. He went to raves his whole life. Like, we're still best friends. Anyway, he brought some acid and shit with him, and some me. And anyway, he did the acid on the first day and then carried that in through the first day and had a bad trip, right? Because it was like 120 out. And fucking, then the next day, he pulled out his E, and some of my brother's buddies wanted it, and this one guy didn't know, was like, yeah, let me take that shit. Well, he got the idea in his head because he remembered watching the guy that he got it from have a bad trip on acid, that he thought that because it came from a bottle, which he didn't know or verified or asked him if the acid was in the bottle or not. He just had the idea that because he was not tripping on E, that he was on acid because he watched the guy he got it from have a bad acid trip, and he assumed that it came in the same bottle. So he actually called 911 and ended up in an ambulance to the hospital because he thought he was having an acid trip. Okay? Yeah. True story.
Yeah.
Fucking. So my ass, instead of being Mr. Nice Guy, I played into this when the guy got back from the hospital. So he got afraid to walk into the room because he thought, now he's starting to go into anxiety, but his clothes are in there. I had my own room, by the way, because I was like, I'm not going to be staying with all these young kids, even though they're a year younger than me. I'm on the phone. We're driving home. My brother's in the car, and my other buddy, fucking Christian, and we're laughing so hard because I'm just like, the guy's on the phone, like fucking freaking out on my brother, and I take over. I'm like, you're in the same room where the air where Christian was, who did the acid, right? Like, you're breathing it in. And he starts freaking out more. And I'm like, dude, are you wearing sandals right now? did you take your sandals off? Are you barefoot in the room? He's like, yeah, I remember when he was bleeding? His blood is on the fucking carpet. It's going to get you the worst acid trip of your life. I go, did you touch the door handle? He's like, but my fucking cooler's in here though. I'm like, yeah, Christian was carrying your cooler. The guy started fucking having the worst panic attack of his life.
That's fucked up, man.
So then he calls the bellman. I go, call the bellman and have him do it all for you. So he felt better. I stay on the phone with this guy for 40 minutes. Bellman comes. I'm like, good, you're going to be walking downstairs out of there. So as he's in the elevator, I'm like, dude, you're in the elevator. You know, they use recycled oxygen in there. And I'm like, oh my God, the whole casino's recycled oxygen. And acid doesn't make it through the filtration systems. So he starts having the worst panic attack of his life. Walking through the casino, thinking that from days ago, a guy he doesn't know who had a moment of trip out in acid when it was just, the environment got so crazy when there was boats everywhere. It was Laughlin in August. You know, it was just crazy, right? Yeah. It was the middle of summer, like fucking, it was Labor Day weekend. It's like crazy, and there's people everywhere, and it was 120 degrees. So he just had a moment, and I'm like, let's get him inside, fucking get some cold air on, put some fucking trance music on, he'll be back. And the second that happened, my boy was like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, no problem, I'm fucking good now. You know what I mean? It's just environment, right? And at the end, I told him, like, you have some work to do on yourself, bro, because I just fucking rousted you so hard. It's impossible to happen. And you have totally created that in your mind. And I just fed it. I never talked to that guy again. He doesn't want to talk. He never wants to talk to me again either. But I did that to try and teach him, like, you really fell for that. So when the placebo effect comes up, I always think of that, because I was like, that's how easy it was for me to do that.
You probably drastically altered the trajectory of his whole fucking life.
Maybe, I don't know.
Probably in a good way, though, because you seriously made him take a look inside. Mm-hmm. I guarantee you. He was like, oh my fucking God. Probably opened his eyes now. I guarantee you the person he is right now is strongly influenced by that. Guarantee it.
I'll never forget when I'm like, oh my God, dude, you're in the bathroom. I forgot about all this. I'm like, you're washing your hand. It's everywhere. It's just, the blood was on the floor. It's on the carpet, the door handle. Like, and he totally, I could feel it, hear it. I was laughing so hard too while saying this. I'm like, you're fucked. But it's the same thing of why I laughed through the COVID thing. Because what's the difference in the story? Nothing.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? Nothing. People, oh my God, I saw somebody in my family cough and they were sick and they walked down this hallway. Did they touch anything? Did they do it?
And they'll manifest an illness.
My God. That's all placebo effect shit.
Yep. And they will straight up manifest an illness. Straight up.
And they probably didn't even have COVID. Because if fucking all the African... Why did Africa not take the shot? Why did every African president, and even though 8 fucking countries now have been overthrown, but they've been overthrown for good reason, why did they all go take PCR COVID tests and go to fucking mangoes? And go to fucking fruits, and they tested positive for COVID. Mm-hmm. They went to the most random shit, and it tested it positive everywhere.
Yeah.
It was a placebo effect.
Mm-hmm.
Let's placebo the world into being sick with something that is an aerosol. So is everybody a fucking can of spray? Hairspray?
Yeah.
So retarded.
That's why my goal is to placebo the whole world into believing that they're powerful as fuck and they can create whatever they want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's reversing that inversion to a positive and a beautiful life and a divinely connected one. And that's really what the magician is doing all the time. Is it's like, I can go down this road where I could fucking actually think that grandma is going to kill me and I'm going to kill grandma. Because those were talks that were had on television the whole time. You're going to kill grandma. like you're gonna like love grandma. I mean, that's a simple way, but that's what a magician is. That's the greatest thing to revel in as a magician. Is it's not some idea that, oh my God, it's Fantasia at Disneyland and fucking Mickey Mouse fucking with his magic wand is killing Maleficent with fucking his magic wand. Ha! I've got you. You know. Even though it's still kind of a relevant story, though, which is kind of interesting. But it's like that idea that the magic has to have sparkle on it and it has to have flair and pizzazz all the time is the problem. And so what do? They invert that dark magic into where it's depression and it's fear, and you're walking around with a mask on looking like an idiot, and you're too afraid to say something to whether it's your mom, whether it's an employee at some fucking... You're really afraid of the Walmart person telling you to put her mask on? You're really afraid to tell that motherfucker, fuck you, no? Like, I don't want to cause a disturbance. That's what we came down here to do, is disturb the dark force by just being in the light, by saying, no, boundaries. The magician has boundaries. That would be the last thing I would say. It's like, I'm not doing anything that would not align with the divine. If it doesn't align with the divine, it's not. The only disturbance here is that that's not aligned with the divine, because you're trying to come at me and tell me what to do, and that doesn't check out. It doesn't check out. And so we live in a world now where people, I don't want to cause a disturbance. You know, be nice, because, you know, this person, like, they're very scared, and it's just like, let's just keep treating people as little babies when they're adults. And the worst is the teens that have parents that fucking are just like, we're gonna fucking put you into this dark fucking system and make you part of our dark fears. Mm-hmm. And the grandparents that do that to their grandkids. And you know, people try to, and I'm just going to say one last thing. People try to say, it was just California, it was so crazy, and some of these liberal states. It's like, I hear more stories of grandparents in the Midwest and all these red states who fucking were COVID fanatics about their grandkids coming over or whatever. Mm-hmm. So for one motherfucking second that people keep putting it on, it was California that was crazy. We were the first place to rebel. Let's not forget about that. We're the first place to rebel. First city here in Huntington Beach to have no vax, no fucking passport, no fucking mask mandate in America. So I don't know what to fucking tell people.
That's the way it was painted up. Because I mean, I believe the same thing. Like I said, I was scared to move here because I heard all the same shit. I heard all those same stories. I move here and I see that it's nothing like what I heard. I have not seen one fucking Biden flag the whole time I've lived here.
Right.
Trump flags everywhere. In Hollywood, there was a next to the Donald Trump star. I don't know if you saw where I posted a picture with it. There was this dude, black dude, who had a stand up, and he was selling Donald Trump shirts. You know, everybody is Trump, 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 Trump. I haven't seen Biden anything anywhere. So I get here and I'm like, oh my God.
Did you know that Jimmy Kimmel building? Did you notice the top is the Mason building?
Yeah, I took a picture of it. Yeah, this was right across the street from there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Crazy.
That show is done in a Mason lodge.
I see it.
And he's been off air for a long time, but yeah. So I used to live there, so it's just like, but you know, that it just really is one of those like magician moments where it's like, go watch.
I got a picture of it.
Yeah. I know, and they try to hide it. That's what's so crazy, is like they try to make you focus on Jimmy Kimmel. Right.
As soon as
when you zoom in, it's like, no, that's a Mason Lodge.
As soon as we walked through that walkway, Leah looked straight up and said, "Oh my God, look! It says Freemasons on top of there."
Yeah.
And I mean, boom! That was the first thing she saw. I pulled out my phone, snapped a picture of it. I forgot to upload it though.
Yep.
It's fucking crazy, crazy shit. But yeah, it was nothing like what I had heard. Because, I mean, and it wasn't even just mainstream. I don't just sit around and watch like mainstream media. I'm talking reels all over YouTube and Instagram and all over the place. We're all saying the same thing, that California is so crazy. And
they use the same colors as the Biden flag in the thing too. You notice that? The Jimmy Kimmel show. The blue with the white.
Yeah. That's fucking crazy, but it doesn't surprise me. But yeah, no. So, I mean, I can relate. Like I said, I thought the same thing before I moved here until I came here and saw it. And I was like, that's a load of shit.
Didn't I send you the video that one of my friends, her brother-in-law was at the air show on Friday. Trump came to Huntington Beach on his plane and said on the phone, on loudspeaker, to over 250,000 people, and flew over and said, I love you, Huntington Beach. I love you guys. You guys are the ones that hold it down. And we're going to fucking turn this place around. I know that you guys fucking are the biggest patriots. You don't see that in Florida. You don't see that in Texas. You don't see that anywhere else but here.
Yeah.
Trump in his plane flying over and speaking to the beach full of 250,000 people for fucking 5 minutes and doing a turn and then another turn.
Yeah.
Right? And talking to the crowd. He did that at NASCAR. He did that at a couple of places. But now, right now, at this moment, why is he here doing that? Why is he not in Texas doing that? Why is he not in Florida doing that? Think about that.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
You know? And that's how I've known I've been in the right place the whole time, because I'm like, why is it here that the first city in the world to say no was here? Why is it that the first city to say no to everything continues? And why is that shit happening here? Why are they painting this place that it's the opposite? I remember being like 3 blocks away from where you were at in Hollywood on Sunset though. And I went to a gas station, and this is in the, like 2020, like in July or August. And I was in my Raptor, my last Raptor, and I fucking that thing, I had a Borla-Attack exhaust on it and shit, and it didn't have fuck Biden on it. It had a Trump sticker on it. And I'm fucking, everybody at the gas pumps has a mask on, and then they like get back in their car. And so I'm sitting out there hitting my vape, putting gas in on Sunset, because I used to live in LA for fucking decades. So I'm just like, normal, and everybody's staring at me like I'm a fucking weirdo. I'm just like, what are you guys all looking at? You guys are fucking enjoy the air. Smell some gasoline. And then when I got in my truck, I fucking revved the engine a bunch. And they all just looked like fucking poor, hopeless souls just sitting there like, I'm waiting for the devil to come let me out. And I remember being like, it's a beautiful fucking day. And then I lit a cigarette as I was getting in my truck out of the gas station. I don't give a fuck. I'm fucking, you know what I mean? Like, these people are fucking like, and it was just like so funny, because I remember just being like, man. Like, but you know, I saw more people in Texas wearing masks than I did here, with cowboy hats on and fucking full blown like jeans with the big belt buckle with the boots on, with a blue mask on, going to Taco Bells and shit. Last year.
Wow.
And I'm like, that is just like, or it doesn't matter where you are. That's the whole point. It's like, this is infiltrated every single place. There's no one place that's infiltrated less.
Yeah.
Except for Huntington Beach, California. But I mean, but that's what we're known by. Search it up. Like, we're known as, you know, the true deplorable place. And I thought it was weird that before, even though I was making these predictions when I got this building, that this would all happen, it was weird that it would be in the center of the resistance. So, magician time. But that's, I guess, a magician way. You hear the calling and you just go, you know, too. You know? That's
the path. Been my whole damn path.
Yep.
You know? And it does, if you hear the calling, don't assume, by the way, that if you feel a call, that it's going to be an easy call. Don't assume that, ever. I tell my clients that shit all the time. And a matter of fact, the next Mastering the Matrix episode I upload is going to be all about that, about how here lately I've been experiencing some challenges and struggles on my path. And Anybody who's out there teaching manifestation, who's leading you to believe that they're relaxing and resting at the finish line, and they've got it all figured out, so they can sit there and armchair pontificate and just, you know, cast judgment on all the people who haven't figured it out. That's a load of shit. I'm on the path with you. I'm walking this path with you. I got shit I'm still manifesting, so I'm going through the same thing I'm teaching. And this has been, September was one of the hardest little chapters that I've gone through in like the last 4 years. It's been a struggle. So don't assume that just because you feel called to do something that it's going to be easy breezy.
Yeah.
People ask me, should I do this? Yes, you should do it. If the universe opens a door and you feel called to walk through it, walk through it. It might be a bitch. You'll see why you were called later. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say, that, you know, just don't assume.
Yeah, that's good with the magician card, because again, he understands there's going to, I love how you said it's a little chapter instead of this. People are taking little chapters and making them their books.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, that's there's 78 cards. It's like, there's a lot of life to live, you know, and that's, you know, people forget, you know, it's like there's 12 zodiac, but there's more than 12, and they're all there for a purpose. But that, people do the math of how many zodiacs there are and how many cards there are. Mm-hmm. Well, that was a good episode, brother.
Yeah, man. Good stuff. My favorite card.
Booyah. I know this is your, I'm the chariot and you're the magician. I love it.
I love it.
All right. Well, oh, and by the way, yeah, so Rich will have a new episode coming up soon, and we just redid highvibe.tv, the whole website now. So I just had to do that with all the new, I hope people are prepared, because what you're seeing in Canada and the UK and all the crazy moving social media through the tele/communications federalized part of the government is going to change the whole landscape. And that's what these eclipses are going to bring. So we're prepared here at High Vibe, but I hope your local person that you're getting your info from on the internet is too. But definitely check it out. It's pretty badass. Fucking super cool. And new app updates just came out. So check it out. Make sure that you subscribe. Much love. See you on the next one. Peace.